also at your home recording setup. Lately I've been involved in some indie game work where I do recordings at home and e-submit directly to the producers, and potentially this is something that you guys could do and get in on, because it doesn't require you to move to a major city where recordings are usually done. But I do encourage new hopefuls that if you want to get into this, to get proper acting training and to invest in a good home setup. Okay, let's start with the audition. Sometimes you are called in to audition at the studio. I personally prefer this because I don't have to worry about the recording equipment or having to self-direct myself or trying to guess what they want, because they're there giving me feedback. The downside is that a lot of times it's the first time you're seeing the copy, so you kind of have to jump into character at that moment. But nowadays, it's more common for me to get requests to record my auditions at home and then submit them by a certain deadline. And when you're able to audition at home, you're able to see if there's other multiple characters and descriptions and lines besides the one that you want to audition for. And I like to read through all this information because sometimes there's like clues for me to better understand the character that I am reading for in those other lines and descriptions. I also try to do a Google search and read up on Wikipedia if there's any other information, just to see what kind of genre it is, or also to kind of see what other anime or games this company has done to get a feel for their tone and style. And also to sometimes list different vocal references that you can listen to kind of get a feel for what the character sounds like. Or sometimes they mention like, we want you to sound like this celebrity, but younger or older or whatever. So it's always good to keep those in mind as well. Another side note I want to make is if they ask for, if they're auditioning for multiple characters, to only go for your strengths. Like only audition for like 2 or 3 characters maximum, I think, because you want to go for something that's something that that you're appropriate for, or maybe you can try for a strong one or one that's a bit of a stretch, but you don't want to waste the casting director's time by auditioning for like 10 characters if you're not appropriate for them. And so after you've recorded your audition, it is time to send it off and be satisfied with what you've done. I speak from experience when I say to audition and have fun and then let go. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment and a lot of negative feelings, and I've been through that, so don't do what I did. You know, I mean, there's exceptions. Maybe you're somebody that could book everything, but you know, that's not always the case for most actors, including myself. So, but let's say that you have been cast. So what should you do to prepare for your recording? I recommend more research. I like to try and see if like the show is up somewhere, then I would go watch it on Crunchyroll or wherever I can find it, read up on it, to be prepared as possible. And sometimes there is no information out there. Sometimes they don't tell you what the project is until you get in. And then you have to just trust and rely on your director and producer to feed you the information as you go. I once worked on a foreign film called Danger Dolls, where there was no information anywhere. So I went in, and it was a really complicated story because there was 2 alternate dimensions happening at the same time. And my character, depending on how she was raised on one or the other, she had a different feel to her personality. So I had to rely on the director because otherwise I didn't know where we were, which world we were in as we were going through the script. And there was a lot of surprises. Like, it's funny, like when I was watching through it, it made a lot more sense than when I was actually recording it. And like I found out at the end that something happens to my character that I didn't know because we didn't record that part, and he didn't feel the need to tell me that happened to my character. So sometimes you just don't know everything. You just have to kind of rely on the fact that the director knows what he is going for. All right, so onto the recording session. So if you're going to into a recording studio, I say it's best to dress nice. You don't have to be super fancy and formal, but be clean and presentable and comfortable, and because I think first impressions are really important, and you should really look like you care about the job and that you are ready to work. I know people always talk about, like, I can roll out of bed and go in my pajamas, but I've never seen anybody do that. And I think it's best that if you are comfortable and you like the way that you look, then you will feel more confident going in. I like to wear colors or clothes that kind of remind me of my characters, because I feel like it helps me to just get into that mindset before going in. Everybody has their own little quirks, I think. It's also important to wear clothing that doesn't make noise, nothing that's scratchy or jewelry that makes noise, because the mics are really sensitive and they can catch that and it could ruin your take. And I actually had that happen to me where I was saying a really energetic line and my necklace made a little bling bling in the middle of the line. And so we had to retake that line over and over and over again until I finally got it to sound similar to the best take. And it was really frustrating for me and for everybody else. And I felt really bad. I was like, I'm wasting so much time, and it was all because of what I was wearing. I'm never wearing this necklace again. But also, before you go in, it's good to warm up your voice so that you sound clear and you don't injure your voice, and you'll have better breath control so you don't run out of air at the end of lines. I'll say to stretch and warm up your body, because most likely you will be standing or sitting in one position for at least an hour or more. I mean, you can have some kind of movement while you're talking, but most of your face has to be within a certain bubble around the mic, otherwise it won't pick it up. Also, plan ahead to get to the studio on time. Accidents happen, traffic happens, but if the entire team is able to make it to the studio on time, you should be able to make it on time too. That way you have time to check in and say hi to the client, director, recording engineer, everybody. When I was still new to VO, I was late twice, about 5 minutes. And to my defense, I live an hour away, and with traffic, sometimes that's 2 hours. But because I was late, I got kind of yelled at, and about being told how unprofessional that was. And looking back, even though it was really, really scary at the time, I know that they meant what was best for me in my career. And on the other hand, don't show up super early either, because then they won't know what to do with you, and you have to wait anyway. So it's better just to be outside or in your car, just warming up and getting ready. Now, if you're recording from home, and if you're directed over Skype or something, I say get on early and test your equipment to make sure that everything works and that you're ready to go. Because if there's a hiccup, then you hopefully have time to fix it up and be ready, because you don't want to be inconsiderate with somebody else's time, and you wouldn't want them to waste your time either if they're not prepared on their side. Another thing is also to just be nice and respectful to everybody that you meet. This should be in studio and with online projects, because you never know if somebody that you're corresponding with will move on to bigger things, become a big producer, a casting director, and they're going to remember your behavior towards them. It's a really small community, and I've gotten lots of recommendations through people that I've worked with that I probably would not have gotten otherwise. 2 or 3 years ago, I worked on this tiny little indie project, and he recently contacted me to talk to another person that's working on a video game for PlayStation 4. So it's even like that. So you never know when years along the way if something is going to get connected that way. So in the booth, the studio booths usually have 2 rooms. One is the control room. It has the director, the client, and the sound engineer. The other one is a padded booth for the actor. In most setups, there's a little window in between so that you can kind of see each other, but that's not always the case. I've been in studios where they're on opposite sides of the building, so there's a little camera set up so that they can see the actor to make sure that they're on mic. So and it seems kind of weird that they can see you but you don't see them. but mostly you get all of your instructions through the headphones or through an intercom, so you don't really need to see them. Let's see. Also in the booth, there is the script, either digital or printed out. If you're reading to a picture, there's also a TV where they'll show you the scenes that you're acting to, and of course headphones and mic. And never touch anything without permission, especially the mic. It's a very, very expensive piece of equipment. The engineer will handle all of that for you. If you're at home, you should set up in a quiet place to record. I used to have a really high vaulted ceiling in my room, and that caused a lot of echo when I would record at home, especially if I said, even if I was like just talking at a normal level, you can kind of hear it echoing. So I had to build like a pillow fortress with a blanket to kind of muffle the sound as I was recording. But nowadays, my new place has a tiny little walk-in closet, so I record in there because all the clothes around me kind of absorb the sound. But then the only downside of that is that it gets super hot in there, so I have to just take breaks every now and then. Back in the studio. Before you start, the director will usually give you an overview of the project and let you listen to your audition file so you kind of remember what you sounded like when you submitted to them. And then they might give you other notes if they want you to change it in any way, or things that you should know about the character that would be reflected in your reading. And then you'll just do a test and the engineer will say, good, we're good to go. For games or anime or foreign dubbing, you usually go line by line in the order of the script, at least twice. If you nail it the first time, sometimes they want you to do a backup read for safety. Since they're just skipping to your parts in particular, you might miss out what's actually happening in the main storyline. So the director will have to kind of summarize and tell you what's happening. They'll tell you about the main character relationships, like how you feel about this character, why you're feeling about this, what you're talking about. The director is usually the one that knows best, so you just have to kind of go along with it and trust them. Although there's one time when I was working on Buckland. So the main character, Stas, is a huge otaku, and he would often mimic trademark attacks and phrases from other pop culture. And in those scenes, my character Fuyumi would try to stop him, and the director thought, and I thought, that I was just trying to stop him from being silly, but the producer actually told us that what's happening is that she's breaking the fourth wall, trying to stop him because it's a copyright infringement. So she's like, no, you can't say that, and he's in the middle of like, Kameha, and you're like, no, you can't say it, we don't have the rights. So in that case, we had to rely on the client to explain to us what was happening. So as you go into record, you get a preview of what you're recording. So for dubs, like they'll show you the scene, like in anime, they'll show you it in Japanese. And then in some studios you hear like 3 beeps, and on the 4th imaginary beep, you'll say it in English. Although sometimes like they'll just let you, I think some studios have you just go at wild, which is really, so you have to just kind of figure out the pacing, and then they'll just like move it to like make it fit. For example, for that, like if the line is just written out, and then you see like ... and then they say like okay or something, and you're just like, all right, and you watch it, and it turns out that that person has like a little like giggle, and then they stop and they're like, okay. And so you have to kind of notice that on your own as you're watching it, to know that when you have to read it, you have to do the exact same thing. You have to notice like when their mouth opens and like kind of pace it so that it matches the picture. It can get really technical. I hear like a lot of people say that dubbing is actually really difficult because you have to think about all these things at once while you're also trying to act without, and like trying to look at the screen to match the timing. But I think it's a lot of fun, and a lot of the directors will sometimes like change words or lines to make it fit better or make more sense. So the pauses in between aren't so random. Like if you have like a random pause in the middle, a sentence, you have to write the line so it doesn't sound like you're just randomly stopping in the middle. Also, like when I recorded for Hanayo for Love Live, she sometimes goes on these really long rants without stopping, and so I'm just like, how am I supposed to say that without any breaths in it? And I have to match her little mouth. It's like, so what ended happening was I would just try to go at it. If I had to take a breath, I would just take a breath and then continue the rant, and then they would just have to like snip that little bit and move it to make it fit. So it's a bit of a teamwork. So I try to do my best, and then sometimes they're able to cheat it a little bit with through editing. And yeah, and that's my notes for recording in the studio and at home. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Also, Kira Bucland is here. If you guys have any questions about recording at home, I also have, feel free to ask me. I also have scenes available if you guys want to come up and try. I will try to pull up the scene in Japanese for you to preview, and then you can, you guys can read the scenes for me, and then I will give you some direction, and then we'll give it another take. So if you guys like, please come up and grab script. If you have a question, let me know. Yes.
So I have a question. So how exactly do you get started in voice acting?
That is a good question.
Watching a lot of commentaries in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I would suggest going to a website called iwannabeavoiceactor.com. There's a lot of information there. A lot of people, for me, I got started in theater, and then I started taking voiceover classes, and then from there I kind of, you kind of learn through your teachers.
It's like, I can do this.
Different, like ways to kind of like
Dude,
turn
let me,
it
I
out
gotta
there.
get this.
Also, the way that I dance voice acting is very unique. I don't know if you've been get in this way. I auditioned at a competition, and then that was
we were there the same year,
Yeah.
and that's how we started. Oh my God, you won't believe it.
You can do it.
I've never actually seen the show, so I
Okay,
don't really
we're gonna
know.
preview the scene for you.
Very good.
Which one are you doing?
Speed of sounds.
Okay, you want to do speed of sound?
I don't know. Either one.
Uh,
Eeny, money, what is? No, let me see them.
Okay, well, I need a partner for you. Anybody else doing the scene?
Oh,
Okay.
but can Bobby ever do another scene? Because I want to do another scene.
Yeah, that's fine. Which part did you want to read for?
It doesn't matter. Wherever he wants, I'll fill in.
I will load that while you guys
Incredibly
decide.
decisive.
Just piece at a time.
I didn't want you have to do this to do the part.
Well, in this particular scene, he's
I can't.
if it's the one with speed of sound, he's a little bit more
Nah, it's for Hammerhead.
Huh?
It's for Hammerhead.
Oh, you're doing the hammerhead one.
Yeah.
Is anybody else doing the one with Saitama and Speed of Sound Sonic? Anybody else want to do Speed of Sound?
I didn't know they had those videos.
Man, there's big old pile of them.
I thought it was the same.
Saitama, you get kind of offended in the middle, where he's like, I've never heard of you. You're just like, what? I've been doing this for years. How could you not heard of me?
Oh yeah, sorry.
And Saitama, and Speed of Sound Sonic, you just kind of shut him down.
Hey, you've got it wrong.
I got what wrong?
I'm not one of those paradisers.
You're lying.
No. Don't be dumb. Look at me.
I don't need to. With that bald head, there's no denying it.
No, look, it's me. You know, the guy who's a hero for
Never
fun.
heard of you.
be more like, just more I don't care. You're wasting my time by talking to me. I'm just going to kill you right now.
So more monotone.
Yeah.
Like Yeah.
annoyed.
All right.
Yeah, you're not playing with him at all. You're just going to like, I'm going to kill
Really?
you. You're
I've
just,
had enough of this crap.
Do you want to switch roles? or something?
I'm fine.
and then
Let's
for
switch roles.
Sigma, for line 7, where it's like, oh, look, it's me. And then I want you to take a small pause.
Yeah.
And you go, me! You know, and just kind of like trying to try to bring him to your side. You know, like, you've heard of me, come on. And so that kind of builds it up to his line. And then that's what causes your utter rejection. Let's try it one more time.
Hey, you got it wrong.
I got what wrong?
I'm not one of those paradisers.
Could you say that line one more time?
Which one? The first one?
I'm not one of those paradisers, and like point and be really
Wait.
angry because
I'm
they're
not one of those paradisers.
Your lie.
No, don't be dumb. Look at me.
I don't need
Sorry,
to.
we're gonna start one more time. Could you say the line 4? Could you say it one more time? But like, no.
Your lie.
There you go.
No. Don't be dumb. Look at me.
I don't need to. That bald head. There's no denying it.
I'm gonna stop you one more time. Sorry.
Yes.
For line 5, could you be more angry with that?
Oh, for me?
Yes.
Okay.
The second one. Be more angry because you know you think that at first you're just like trying to clarify. I'm different from those other guys that were idiots.
No. Don't be dumb. Look at me.
I don't need to. That bald head, there's no denying it.
No. Look. It's me. You know, the guy who's the hero for fun.
Never heard of you.
Okay then. Oh, I see. Okay, that's okay.
Thank you. Yes. Go with that. I think if we were to do it again, I would say like, I know it's really hard to play the really,
Monotone.
he's kind of monotone, but he's really just, it's just really dramatic in a way too. I don't know how to, Kira, what would you say? Like for that kind of character where he's just like really, it's like the Sasuke kind
It
of
is.
like character, you know?
Down to the hair.
For Sonic?
Yeah, how do you describe him? Because he's so dramatic. He's like really serious.
I feel like, you know, sometimes more like, I don't care about anything, like this is boring, whatever. And then Sonic is more like, you know, you can really like play and get big with the emotions.
So Sonic is the one with the bigger emotions?
Yeah, like Tom's more like chill most of the time until you really anger him, and then Sonic is just like.
Even though this scene is the complete opposite.
Yeah, in this scene, he's like killer mode kind of because he's an assassin. Thank you.
All right.
Move on to the next